For you, Greg's favorite day of the week. I have to admit it's my favorite day of the week today, too. It's been a long week. Welcome inside the CZ Studios with me. It's great to have you with us. You see a little like and subscribe thing up there if you're watching on your YouTube, and lots of you catch it after the show airs, which is great, too. We've been cutting up some videos for you, my interview with Alan Gottlieb. Please like us and subscribe and ring the little bell over at YouTube, where we are growing like another 500 or 600 subscribers over just the last week. So keep it going, guys. We appreciate that very much. Makes a big difference to the channel as we grow it and take our social media back from those that took it away from us years ago because they didn't like what we talked about. It wasn't the gun issue, really. It was the politics of the gun issue that they didn't like. Well, too bad for them, and we're back. And I got to hand it to them. They're giving us a solid over there, and we do appreciate it. So support us over on YouTube. We would appreciate it. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing on a Friday? I got my Greg Said That T-shirt on today.
No, do you?
Yeah, don't say that again. That's what prompted the T-shirt, whatever that was. I forget.
I don't remember what it was.
I know the response was, Greg said that, not me.
Yeah.
So
I think that actually was in response to a few things that I had said.
That's okay. Don't even go there.
I don't remember the things, but
that's probably not a bad thing because Greg, well, I say things to Greg, too. He could be wearing a Mark Said That T-shirt when we're not on air. Greg, if you would be kind enough to tell people where to watch us and all that fun stuff, and we'll get cracking. We got Paul Markle, student of the gun, in there. He just put his guitar down. I wish he'd pick it up, but copyright stuff, too, because I got one back here I'd like to play with him. So go ahead.
Sure, places to watch the show. We're going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can head over to X and watch us at AAR Mark. You can always head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And to join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversation.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Professor Paul Markle, student of the gun, SOTGU, at student of the gun, SOTGU.com. How you doing, Paul?
Oh, I'm doing just as well as could be expected.
Well, and that's good for a Friday. Is all the snow left you guys up there in Wyoming yet?
Oh, yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, it's hot here, too. Greg, is it hot and down in Dallas or down in Dallas?
Oh, boy, it's hot today. I don't think it's a hot one like it is up. I don't think it's as hot in Montana as it is here. But
you mean Wyoming, but same
Wyoming,
thing.
I mean,
right?
yeah,
well,
same difference.
Interesting. Earlier today when I was out here working, I started hearing a bunch of racket outside. Now, the neighbors have done a lot of home improvement work, and it sounded like, when you're loading trucks, dropping stuff on the bottom of a truck bed and all that. No, it was thunder, and that's how loud it was. My poor dog, little Huey, was terrified, so I went and took care of her for a little bit. I thought it was a truck bed and the roofers over there dropping stuff, but it was not. It was thunder, and it was cracking out there, man, like crazy. Anyway, Paul Markle, student of the gun. We have some big news today. I've got a report for you. You ready for this? You're shaking your head no.
I think I lost Paul.
Did we
Looks
lose
like
Paul?
He dropped off
That's why he was shaking his head no. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I'll start telling you this, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going to California now. Glock bans. Historic month for Second Amendment, as we all know. U.S. District Judge Monica Ramirez Almadani. Now, we've had run-ins with her before, and I can't place what it was. Forgive me for not knowing that. But she's a liberal wackadoo out there. She denied, the DOJ sued California. Here's in the press release what Harmeet Dillon had to say. The Civil Rights Division will defend law-abiding citizens from states that seek to disarm them illegally. This lawsuit is yet another example of this Justice Department enforcing the Second Amendment by protecting citizens against unconstitutional state regulations of firearms. Just yesterday, guys, Judge Almadani denied the temporary restraining order request, saying in part that the law, and get this, includes carve-outs for the transfer of machine gun convertible pistols under various circumstances, so it's not clear. Hear this, ladies and gentlemen. It's not clear that California citizens are prohibited outright from acquiring Glock and Glock-style pistols. It is a Glock handgun ban, ladies and gentlemen. A ban. Yeah, Judge, it's pretty clear. So her rationale is laid out in the denial, and I have a copy of it on my fat little computer screen here. And the background, just to read a little bit of this. Do we have Paul back yet?
No. Hey, Paul, if you can hear me, pick up your phone and call me back.
There we go. We'll see if
there
we
we
can
go.
hear you. Okay. This action arises out of the enactment and implementation of California Assembly Bill 1127, codified as California Penal Code 27595A. AB 1127 provides that commencing on July 1, 2026, a firearms dealer licensed pursuant to sections 26700 to 26920 shall not sell, offer for sale, exchange, give, transfer, or deliver any semi-automatic machine gun convertible pistol as defined in section 16885, code 27595A. California law defines a machine gun convertible pistol as any semi-automatic pistol with a cruciform trigger bar that can be readily converted by hand or with common household tools as defined in section 4082 of Title 11 of the California Code of Garbage into a machine gun by the installation or attachment of a pistol converting as a replacement for the slide's backplate converter as a replacement for the slide's backplate without any additional engineering, machining, or modification of the pistol's trigger mechanism. Now, Paul Markle, student of the gun, the judge, this Almadani, we've had
He's
run-ins
gone
with
again.
her before. We're losing Paul again. That's okay. I'll keep going with you, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to cover with you. Believe me, hopefully he can jump in here, and it must be the Wyoming weather.
Yeah, who knows? He keeps losing the
It's
connection to me here.
That's okay. It's the Wyoming weather, but the professional in me will keep going. Now, get this, ladies and gentlemen. Again, she claimed, let me go back to this. It is not clear that California citizens are prohibited outright from acquiring Glock and Glock-style pistols. I'm not even sure what that means. I don't know what that means. Now, what's the alternative
I'm back, I
here?
guess.
Okay, we've got Paul Markle back. Paul, I've been talking about, I don't know if you could hear me, but I've been talking about the Glock ban in California and the judge in California who just denied the temporary restraining order or the injunction that the DOJ asked for. And here's what she claimed. She said it's not clear that California citizens are prohibited outright from acquiring Glock and Glock-style pistols. Paul, they've banned Glocks. How much clearer does it need to be to this judge?
So if it's not clear, then people can go to their stores and buy them then.
Effective July 1, they cannot. So therein, ladies and gentlemen, lies the conflict, okay? What am I missing here?
Well, you said she, so that was the first mistake you made.
Paul said that. Get a shirt that says Paul said that.
You're right. I did say that, and I don't know, brother. I don't know when we're going to clean this country up. But let's face facts. The history of the world. I'm going to go ahead and be that guy right now. The history of the world is that the citizen only ever has the amount of freedom and or liberty that they are willing to fight for. That's not the United States. That's history. And you only have the amount of liberty for which you are willing to fight, for which you are willing to suffer, for which you are willing to be uncomfortable. And we have a huge percentage of the people who live in this country who are not willing to be uncomfortable. Therefore, they don't have liberty. Therefore, they don't have freedom.
And we are talking about
It's as simple as
California. A lot of that applies because we are, in fact, talking about California. They continually vote these goofballs into office. I'm going to break this down a little bit. And I had a conversation with A.W.R. Hawkins. I had a conversation with Jared Yanis just a little while ago, both gentlemen. And Paul, you and I are going to have this conversation. We're going to do it live on the air today. Same conversation I had with them, and I can't wait to get your response. I think I know what it will be, but we'll go there in just a second. Folks, here's something else, a little nuance here. In this ruling, California was complaining and argued to the judge that the DOJ did not bring this. The law passed last year, and the DOJ did not move. Therefore, the DOJ has lost any of its ability to seek an injunction at this point. And the judge actually decided or ruled in favor of the government on that point. I'll take us to the break with this, Paul, and then when we come back, we'll dig into it. So let me leave you with this for the break, both you, listener, and you, Paul. The judge decided that that was not the case, that the law did not take effect until July 1. The government was not bound to have to seek retribution prior to July 1 when the law, in fact, was enacted, so that the government did, in fact, act timely. However, her beef was that it's not clear to her that Glocks, in fact, have been banned. when it's a Glock ban bill, ladies and gentlemen. So like I said, we've had run-ins with Almadani before. I'll see if I can find something during the break. I probably won't. Probably be bringing it up on the Sunday Monster Cast. But when we come back, I'll give you at least a partial solution to this, and I'll bounce it off of Paul and see what he has to say when we come back to the CZ Studios on Armed American Radio's Friday right after this. To the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters with Paul Markle, filling your prescription for freedom. Greg, that's a Blackout Coffee rejoiner. I had Blackout Coffee, the 1776 roast today. How many cups do you think I started my day with?
Let's go with, let's say 2.
You were right on the money, 2. I had 2 cups of Blackout Coffee. The 1776 roast is really good. We're going through that bag fairly quickly. I'm going to have to order some more of that, and that's just the truth, ladies and gentlemen. And we do, by the way, use Cove Pure Water to fill our coffee maker. I had to pick up my daughter's car today at the Kia dealership, and I had my son go with me because, of course, I needed a ride to pick it up. And there just this young lady sitting back behind the counter in the service area. When I walked in, they had this little, countertop, and they had coffee maker and stuff. And I said, ma'am, who could I? And my son was very embarrassed when I asked this question, Greg and Paul. But I did it anyway because I am who I am, nevertheless. And I said, ma'am, might I ask you a question? She said, sure. My son goes, oh, no, because he knows me. And I said, who would I be able to talk to here at the dealership that would make the decision to put a Cove Pure CP16 water purifier here next to your coffee maker? Would that be you? And my son just rolls back his eyes, goes, oh, God, Dad, please don't. And I continued to hit the girl for the Cove Pure water. I said, let me tell you about the Cove Pure water machine. And I started telling the girl at the dealer. She goes, we should probably get one of those. I said, you would love it. She goes, we just got a new water machine over on the other side. I had this lengthy conversation with her. And my poor son just went back in the other room and cringed and sat and watched TV until the car was ready about 10 minutes later. He said, I can't believe you did that. I said, son, that's how it gets done. That's how it gets done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you know in the near future if the Kia dealership near me has a Cove Pure 16, CP16 water purifier. CovePure.com/AAR and BlackoutCoffee.com/AAR. Paul Markle, student of the gun. Welcome back in, my brother. So I found something here during the break that I've got to get into before I give you my solution to this. We're talking about the machine gun convertible. She said it's not clear that citizens can't buy the guns. And she went down and I've got it up on the screen, Paul, as you can see, and viewers, you can see, and listeners, I'm going to read this to you, or paraphrase, I should say. 4 things have to be in place for her to issue a TRO, she said. One of them is irreparable harm. If the moving party, this being the government, fails to show a likelihood of success on the merits, the court need not consider the remaining 3 elements. And I'll tell you what those are in just a moment. She said, even if the United States had satisfied the first, the court is not persuaded that the United States would suffer irreparable harm in the absence of a TRO. The United States argues that the deprivation of constitutional rights unquestionably constitute irreparable injury. The court does not deny the significance of the alleged constitutional injury, but finds that the United States has failed to show that irreparable harm will occur through the enforcement of the Glock ban. Why does she figure that? Listen to this. Because AB 1127, the Glock ban, does not prohibit the possession of semi-automatic machine gun convertible pistols. It merely bans firearms dealers from selling the pistols. Paul, hook a brother up.
Well, there you go. I don't know how you argue with that logic. But something that we really should all be very concerned about, and even where's the American Civil Liberties Union on this? I thought that they were all about civil liberties. Isn't that in their name? Isn't it in the title of their name? But what we've allowed these states to do is we already know that it's against the law to take a Glock pistol and buy one of these ATF imported.
Correct. It's a violation
switches,
of federal law.
Right. We know that that's against the law, but their justification is like, well, but someone could do it. It's possible for someone to break the law. They could use this object, and they haven't done it yet, but they could. So what the precedent they're setting is so that any time in the future, if we feel like there's something that the peasants shouldn't have or be allowed to do, we could just make the case that, well, there are people out there that might use that to break the law. And you're like, okay. So like computers and phones and so the precedent is, well, we know that it hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. That's like future crime.
Yeah.
And the fact that people who are outside of the gun industry don't care, like, oh, well, I don't care. And what's sad is there are people in the gun community that don't care, because it goes back to, Mark, you were alive and paying close attention during the reign of William Jefferson Blythe Clinton.
Very much
he
so.
raided the federal coffers and shoved socialism down our throats.
Very much so.
And the great assault weapons ban. There were a lot of people that were, quote, gun owners that didn't have a problem with it because, well, I don't have any of those kind of guns.
Fuds.
That
And
right
I don't
there.
know why
that
anybody
right
would
there.
want them.
Correct. Let me stop you for a second. I got to get in here. I don't own a Glock, therefore this doesn't affect me. I have no intention of buying a Glock, therefore this doesn't affect me. I'm not going to get a Glock. I don't really care about Glocks. I'm not a gun owner. This doesn't affect me. Ladies and gentlemen, this affects you because this type of logic can be used in any case brought against something that is important to you. And why it's important to you is because this is a fundamental constitutional right. If it can be done here, it can be done to your First Amendment protections, your Second Amendment protections, your Third, Fourth, Fifth, and on down the line. Now, it gets a little bit more interesting when you consider, in this particular case, that's not AWR that's calling my phone right now, by the way. I don't know who that is. So that happens. Some people forget what I do for a living and when I do it. But listen to more of this logic. The United States therefore fails to make a clear showing that is it entitled to the extraordinary remedy it seeks in the TRO. And here's why. Because, well, prior to the law going into effect, people could still have the gun. Well, the law is in effect. The law's been in effect for 9 days in California. They can no longer have the gun. This decision came down on Thursday. So she's relying on arguments that the state made prior to the implementation of this ban. And it says the law also includes carve-outs for the transfer of machine gun convert. We're talking about a Glock handgun, ladies and gentlemen. This is how they hijack the language. Now they've got it as part of the record. Do you understand what's happening here? It is now part of the record. Machine gun convertible pistol, Paul. It's absolutely asinine. And the U.S. fails its clear showing that it's entitled to an extraordinary remedy for a TRO. For the foregoing reasons, the TRO application is denied. The United States may renew its request through a regularly noticed motion for a preliminary injunction. Now, the U.S. through Harmeet Dawn, no doubt is likely going to appeal this. However, they're in the Ninth Circus. So is there a prayer here? What's going to wind up happening, ladies and gentlemen, is this is likely going to play out if you live in California until the United States wipes out gun bans in total with one of the two Second Amendment foundation cases that it has just recently granted cert to. Paul, when we come back, I want to go to the solution aspect of this, at least a partial solution, because some of us need to get off our duffs and actually do something about this. Paul, maybe you and I and some others within the industry might be able to elicit some change here, but it sure would be nice to see. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense comes back with a partial solution anyway, certainly a feel-good solution that would slap a lot of folks into reality when we come back right after the... Yeah, welcome back to the show. PatriotMobile.com, ladies and gentlemen. PatriotMobile.com, PatriotMobile.com/AAR. This is a Patriot Mobile activated phone. Scott Coburn was here yesterday. Patriot Mobile is doing the hard, gritty work on the streets, defending your right to keep and bear arms, ladies and gentlemen. Do business with companies that support your right to keep and bear arms. It's a win-win situation all the way around. You're going to get a free month of service when you activate a phone. It takes about 15 minutes. Just pick up the phone and call them. And you're going to get somebody with a real Texas Americana name. You're going to get an American. And that's a beautiful thing in today's day and age. Patriot Mobile has your back. Have their back as well. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. If you're not sure, a lot of people have this aversion of wanting to switch phones. It's not that big of a deal. I switched one line at a time at 2 now, and I still don't have the other 4. I got to pay those phones off, but I'll do that and switch all 4. It's that simple because they make it easy to do. Also, check out the bucket list items over at PendletonSafe.com. Don't stress when you open your gun safes anymore, ladies and gentlemen. PendletonSafes.com, PendletonSafes.com. They've got you, oh man, when I say bucket list items, just go look at them. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. These are safes you're going to want to keep open all the time. They're so beautiful. And they truly are. But they're bucket list items. They're not for everybody. They're pricey. But think about what you're putting in it, right? So I'm in the process of saving for one right now. I already have the model picked out. And when I'm ready to pull that trigger, you will be the first to know here on Armed American Radio. And don't forget budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. They have every accessory you need, and you need and want every accessory that they have. It is a match made in heaven. Paul Markle, student of the gun, welcome back. So let's jump in here, and let's go to what... It's not a fix. I don't want to call it a fix, but this is the conversation I had with AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News and Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets in 2 separate conversations about an hour and a half ago. And my anger came out in the form of my question: when will Glock say enough is enough and stop selling guns to everyone in California, most predominantly law enforcement? Stop servicing them, stop sending them parts, and say, if you're not going to allow it for civilian use, we're not going to support you. When will that happen? And the answer is, it won't. 76% of the market they control in handguns, ladies and gentlemen. Why won't that happen, Paul?
No, brother, I've been saying that for years and years and years and years and years, and until I'm just sick of saying it. I'm so frustrated with you and I. We get on the radio and we carry the water for the firearms industry every week. And quite frankly, let's go ahead and be honest. I don't think they appreciate it. I really don't. I'm convinced.
I know many who don't. I'll tell you that.
That there's a good percentage of those in the firearms industry that really feel like, or at least I get this based on their behavior, that it's our obligation to carry the water for them. It's our obligation to go out there and fight for them, for their right to engage in their business. But then when you ask them for a little bit of reciprocity, for instance, there's so many angles we could address this at. Number one, no gun company that has their product banned in a state should be able to, with good conscience, sell guns to the state that's banning them. I mean, that's psycho world. That's literally psycho world right there. They're like, well, yeah, but and unfortunately we have to deal with this us versus them mentality. And then the part B to that is, when is the 2A, whether it's, NRA or fill in the blank, when are we going to go after the fact that these laws or these states are creating laws that exempt themselves? How are we not addressing this? How are we not thumping that? How are we not going to the people and saying, how do you feel about your state creating a law that only applies to you but exempts themselves from it? How do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think in the United States of America, the definition of freedom is a government that creates laws that only apply to the peasants? Think that's freedom? Does that sound like freedom to you?
No, actually, that sounds like a double shot of tyranny to me. That somebody else is complicit in when they know what that local state government is doing. In fact, look, now that is a very front-end loaded question that Paul and I are talking about right now. There's a lot of moving parts going on here, okay? There are millions of guns in the hands of California residents that, just 8 days ago, 9 days ago were legal, that are not now because of a commie-structured government out there, number one. Number two, that's not Glock's fault. Number three, there's millions of dollars at stake for the organization. But at some point in time, they've got to be willing to say enough is enough. Now, I want to throw some accolades, Paul, out at CMMG. and I haven't yet spoken to them, but I'm working on it. CMMG, manufacturers of AR-15 and parts and kits, has told California, New York, and the rest of them to go pound salt. They will no longer do any business in those states. And let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, they are not near the size of Glock. Glock worldwide, now it's privately held. Paul, I don't know what their revenues are. I don't really care. Suffice to say, it's big. They could easily wipe out New York, New Jersey, Illinois, California, New York, and the other 10 states or 9 states, however many I just mentioned, do the math, and be just fine. At some point, they've got to take a stand. At this stage of the game, because it hasn't happened, I believe that Glock is likely going to sit back and just wait this out until the Supreme Court makes a decision. And that's coming. We don't have to guess about that anymore. We know that's coming, Paul. And the Glock handgun, because of the Democrats' own, well, we like to make up our own words here. Let's make this one up. Moronity. Okay, we'll call it moronity. By, lumping guns and calling Glocks assault pistols. That's going to come back to haunt them in the coming decision that we absolutely expect to win, Paul. But I'm with you on that. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. I don't run their business. They haven't asked me for any advice. And it's easy for me to say those things. But I have spoken to some CEOs, most notably Justin Moon, who was a regular on this program for years, CEO of Car Arms, Auto Ordnance, Magnum Research. Okay, well-diversified company over there. And he's got different answers as well, too. And Paul, some of the response I've heard from those in the industry say, well, we don't want law enforcement being harmed because of the decisions of their government. Well, guess what? I'm with you. Throw your arms up in the air. Law enforcement's got lots of different choices they can make in handguns until this problem gets fixed. What I'd like to see is every manufacturer band together and say, you, not going to happen. Yan Yon, turn them into Cuba and let them use Coke cans and rubber bands to fix what they have to fix on those cars they're driving from the 50s. Turn them into that, because that's communism all the way around. Unfortunately, the Ninth Circus is going to come into mix here at some point in time. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're just apparently, sadly, going to have to wait this one out, Paul. That's my fear. Take us to the break with that.
No, I would, if a person were to say that to me, I would call them out on that crap immediately. So what you're saying is, the fact of the matter is, it's the American individual citizen that makes or breaks. It is. And the truth of the matter is, these people, whether it's Smith & Wesson, Colt, Glock, whatever, they think they're the kings of the mountain, but they're not.
No.
It's only a temporary position.
I'm going to prove that.
Colt used to be the king of the mountain. Smith & Wesson used to be the king of the mountain. And all of them have fallen. And Glock will fall, too.
Guys, when we come back from this break, there's one more moving part here. And Paul just alluded to it.
Funny.
And I'll make that very, very clear when we come back. By the way, do you want some Armed American Radio swag right now? Because it's now available to you. I'm going to tell you how to get it. As soon as this show is over, you'll be able to go buy it. We'll be right back. Somehow, a flippin' fly got in here, Greg. There's only one way in and one way out, brother. And it's flying around. So if you see it on camera, that's pretty funny. I'll chase him down. That's why if I do that, I'm looking stupid on camera. That's what I'm doing. I hate flies. I have no sympathy for flies whatsoever. I do not know why flies exist.
Well, open the door and you might like the scene from A Bug's Life. I only got 24 hours to live, and I ain't doing it in here.
I did find some cool stuff at Home Depot that actually works on flies while I was out grilling, and about 50 of them just attached themselves to it upside down, and I just watched them stick to the thing upside down and suffer through what's left of their miserable fly existence. And I enjoyed it. In fact, I put a second one up just because it was so fun. Hey, guys, some fun stuff. That's the Attorneys on Retainer. Rejoin, as we always tell you in the third segment break all the time, coming back into the fourth segment. Here's my Attorney on Retainer card. Carry an attorney in your back pocket, ladies and gentlemen, if you carry a gun. Don't be stupid. Just get it done. We've been talking about it for a long time, and we're going to continue to drive it home. If you carry a firearm, God forbid you have to use it, the first thing you're going to want is a lawyer. And you're not going to want to have to mortgage everything and lose everything you've spent your life working for. I don't care if you're 20, I don't care, 21, 20, 19, 18, you should be able to do this. And in most states you can, some states you can. We're working towards that, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. It will break you. It will bankrupt you. Attorneys are not cheap. And you will spend, and you will go to your family to spend anything they have to, and you have to stay out of jail and retain your freedom. It's $37 a month, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. So be covered. Don't be stupid, please. Please, very, very important. Also, if you're watching on your screens, you want some AAR swag? It is available to you right now at jeoutfitters.com. I want to thank David over there for getting that up there as fast as possible for us. T-shirts are available. Hoodies are available with the Armed American Radio logo and the Armed American Radio Daily Defense logo. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. We just threw those up there for you today. It's up there for good. Go get it. And when you do so, you get to tell them when you make a purchase, T-shirts are $25, hoodies are only $30. They're super high quality. And at the time you check out, you get to tell them where to send $5 of your purchase to whatever favorite 2A organization you want to. And you'll notice up there that Second Amendment Foundation is listed, NRA is listed, GOA is listed. So when you buy something cool from AAR, you get to send $5 of your purchase wherever you want it to go. It is a no-brainer. Get some cool AAR swag and support the cause, ladies and gentlemen. It is available for you right now at jeoutfitters.com. You can also see Second Amendment Foundation, as I said, and others, including Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, who is up on that site as well. JE Outfitters has it going on, and we are proud to be working with them as we sell some swag to you, get some cool stuff, and donate to the cause in the process. Paul Markle, student of the gun. Some of the other moving parts here that I want to talk about. This is what the gun companies, Paul, you and I have talked about this many, many times over the years. We've done it publicly on air. We've done it privately. Our frustration in this very conversation. It's not the first time we've talked about this. And I want to make this point and drive it home. I don't know what Glock and others are misunderstanding here. But let me make this clear, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be the first person to go buy one of their handguns or two of their handguns to show my support for them if they, in fact, do that. And it looks like Paul Markle just dropped on camera. Don't know if he's still on the phone. He's had some issues there. No big deal. We'll continue to talk about this. I want to drive this point home. Do you honestly believe that the consumer will not reward the companies who do that? Greg, I'm telling you right now, I'm the first kid on the block who's going to say, "Are you kidding me? It's about frickin' time. I'm going to buy me a new Glock. I'll buy my son one too to show my support." I don't know what else we have to do. I really, truly don't. But again, I said there's a lot of moving parts here. I get it. I don't run their business. I have no idea what's invested. I'm sure it's to the tune of millions of dollars. It's a lot easier for me to sit and say that than it might be for them to implement that. I get all that. But you know what? They've had plenty of time to deal with this. And it just makes it look like, guys, where's your support of the right to keep and bear arms as a manufacturer who is under vicious attack in these states? CMMG, a huge shout out to them. Go check them out, cmmg.com. They bailed. Jared Yanis wrote about it, or didn't write about it, but talked about it in one of his most recent videos. He's talked about it a number of times in his videos. I expect to be talking to them as well. Kudos to them, Greg, for doing that. What else do we have to do, Greg, in Dallas, Texas, with all the cool bells and buttons and whistles, switches and lights and all the cool mothership, spaceship stuff going on over there in Dallas, Texas? It runs everything for us.
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure what else we have to do. I mean, I would say I hope they're listening and taking notes. And, at some point you do have to realize you've got to cut off a state and not ship anything there, not sell anything there, not do business with any of the organizations. If you've got contracts with the municipalities for law enforcement, cut that off. Because law enforcement is not doing you any favors. They're not standing up for the rights of the citizens, and they're not rebuking any of the
in fact, they're enforcing the very ban while they're carrying the very gun.
100%. And it's, rules for thee, but not for me. And to be honest with you, we'll see that across the nation, regardless of what state they're in. at some point if there happens to be some kind of law that comes down the scene.
Yeah.
Because these guys are not in the business of actually pushing back against their superiors. They're in the action of just following orders.
Look, let me make this very clear about CMMG. I want to make a correction here. From what I understand, they haven't pulled completely out. In other words, if you've got a 10-round magazine limit, that's what they're selling to law enforcement. If it's a banned product, they're not selling it. If it's a restricted product based on blank, they're only going to sell what civilians can have. All right, I respect that immensely. I really, truly do. So God bless them for the way they're handling that. I'll make some clarification on that. I'll talk with Jared and a couple others and talk to CMG personally. But kudos to them for doing that. This could have been handled a long time ago. Imagine the irony. Guys, to make it real simple, it's like getting a tint violation from a cop pulling you over whose tint is violation.
Is it a detective undercover car and they've got the limo tint as well?
Oh, man. I used to drive around in my Vet with the windows tinted. Yeah, illegally. Windshield sides, just waiting for a cop with illegal window tint to pull me over to try to give me a ticket for my window tint. I would have loved that. It never happened. And there happens to be a law here in the state of Georgia that they're not allowed to use that on city-owned vehicles and county and state-owned vehicles. They're not allowed to do what they do. But they do it all day long anyway. The only ones I'm going to give a pass to are the ones that have canines in there. God bless the canines. It's not their fault. Keep them cool. I get it. But I waited for that. It never happened. I wanted it to happen, and it didn't. It's the same thing. Imagine getting arrested for having a Glock that's a violation of California's ban by a cop who's carrying a Glock in violation of California. Oh, wait, it's not a violation for them. Their guns are okay. Yours aren't. You can't buy them, but they buy them all day long. It stinks to high heaven. Glock, do something about it. Don't wait until the Supreme Court wins this for us. Stand up and do something about this. Believe me, you'll sell more guns around the country, people supporting that action, than you ever would in the state of California that you'd be missing out on as a result. Do something about it, please. All right, that's probably falling on deaf ears. Guys, here's what we're going to do. On behalf of Paul, I'll tell you, SOTGU.com, use the AAR promo code, save 15%. Start your online training right away. Pick up some AAR swag. Give $5 to whoever you want to give it to right there at the site. And that's jeoutfitters.com. Guys, I'll see you on Sunday's Monstercast because we're going to do it over again. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. I'll see you on the radio.